So, so now seeds that need heat underneath them to germinate. So you will probably need at least 20 degrees Celsius underneath them to germinate. And we're talking things like real high summer veg. So the first thing is aubergines or eggplants. Now I've sown all of my eggplants already in January. I always sow them in January, but you can sow them now as well. The only thing with eggplant or with aubergine is they need a really long season in this country because they need a lot of heat. And I always sow them early because most of my aubergines up until now have been, I don't have any of them inside in a greenhouse. They're always outside. I've got a very, very good south-facing wall. In fact, it's the wall that we're going to have our greenhouse built on. So that'll be gone. They always do really, really well, but they are really, really slow. They're also very, very temperamental when you get them at seedling stage. They love to always have heat underneath them until they get a really good root system, and then they will take off. All right, so I mean, this year I've got over 20 varieties of aubergine, and I grow all of my tender stuff in just little modules like this. These are actually chilies, and that's how I grow them. And I do 2 seeds per cell, and then we see what comes up. And then if I find that things don't germinate, I then use these little pots that I'm always talking about. And again, I will put 2 or 3 seeds in there. And this is another chili. So that's how I do it. And when you do the seeds for aubergine, etc., I just take out 1 seed at a time. I put it on the top of the soil, and then I just get a little thing like this, or a pencil, and just below the soil. That's all you need. And then you have to put them on heat, otherwise they will not germinate. I haven't had any luck doing it. So I've got 2 propagators, and they go in the propagator. They also like the humidity. And then I will show you during the season. Hopefully they're not going to be too temperamental. But last year, oh, they drove me crazy. I still got a great crop last year, but you know. So this year I'm going for mainly Japanese and Chinese varieties. Last year I did kind of Bangladeshi, mainly Bangladeshi aubergines, and they did really, really well. And in fact, they've come up really well. So I'm just looking at whether there's something really interesting here. I always grow the Thai aubergine, the round green Thai aubergine. But yeah, no, there's some great names here. There's Nagasaki Long. That's not a great name. Ping Tung. And I've got a few Mediterranean ones as well. So they will be great. That's aubergines. Tomatoes is next. So again, I started my tomatoes last month in January, and I've already repotted some of the seedlings. They're underneath my grow lights. You can see them in my vlogs. I regularly show them on my vlogs, and they're doing really. Tomatoes are tough, really tough. Out of all these tender vegetables, tomatoes are tough. So again, I think I've got over 20 varieties. I just keep, it's crazy because I don't even eat raw tomato, but I'm obsessed with it. Again, I do exactly the same thing. I put them in these cells. I think I've caught up now with everything that didn't germinate. I've now got them all germinating. So I think now all my tomatoes have germinated, which is fab. And again, they need to go in a propagator. You might have a little bit of luck with tomatoes not on with heat. You might be able to just put them into a heated room because they are quite tough. The other thing that we are completely obsessed with in our household is chili peppers, and I must have well over 20 varieties of chili peppers. I keep getting new ones all the time. So chili peppers, so these are my chilies that are coming up. They're a little bit slower than tomatoes, but they're faster than aubergines to come up, and they are doing good, really good. And again, here's another 2 in there. They don't, they have to get to a certain size. See these ones here, you can see that I've got some real leaves coming on them. They're still not really big enough to take out of the propagator because they will flop. I know they will. So I've left them in there until they get, you know, a little bit bigger, and then I will put them on my heated mats and under my lights. So I've got some interesting ones this year. I've got a chili called Fish, which is quite interesting. I've got another one that's quite popular on Instagram called Buena Mulata. That's a good looking one, look. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Then the other thing that I also grow, and I only started growing them last year actually because I thought, are they going to be any good? Are sweet peppers. And last year, all I did was I grew this. Let me see if I've still got the packet here. Here, I have. I grew this packet here, which I got from the Kitchen Garden magazine, one of my favorite magazines. And all it is a mixed sweet pepper packet. And I'm hooked. It was amazing. The stuff that we got purple ones, we got yellow ones, we got all sorts of colors. Anyhow, they're starting to come up. They're a little slow, but they are starting to come up. And I've got a few of those this year. I got one particular one from the Heritage Seed Library, which I'm a member of, and it is called Nardello. And that's a red one. So again, they have to go on heat. But I would definitely be planting them this month and next month, because again, they need a long growing season, unless of course you've got a greenhouse. And if you've got a greenhouse, and hope and have your fingers crossed that we get a good summer, they'll be fine. But yeah, so we've got aubergines, tomatoes, chilies, and sweet peppers. Okay, another seed that you can sow with heat underneath it from now in February is basil. And I mean, you know, you can buy basil in these pots now in supermarkets and bring them home and chop them all off, and you know, I mean, that's fantastic that you can do that. You can buy them in packets as well, but they go off very quickly. And I like to, funnily enough, I like to grow unusual basil as well. And so what I've done is, this time of year, I usually start basil as a microgreen. And a microgreen is where you sow them very, very thickly, and then they grow about this tall, and you chop them all off. And I showed you before, but I have got some basil coming up. You can see just there. Now this is the purple basil. This is called dark opal, and it's done really, really well. I tried some earlier in January, and it wouldn't germinate. But I've got this, so I haven't got this in a propagator. I've actually got this just on a seed mat, and it's done really, really well. Fantastic. So, and then my normal basil, I start off usually in these seed trays again, and I will plant about 3 or 4 seeds per cell. So I've started, and again I've got them here, and they haven't been watered yet, so they're going, and these will go into the propagator. They germinate very, very quickly. Then when I get them out of the propagator, you do have to put them somewhere where it is warm. So if you have got a warm windowsill, they will do really, really well. Basil, oh, again, it's a bit of a pain for me. It's like aubergines. Last year I did basil and everything came up beautifully, and then everything went really, really cold. And in the cold weather, they hate cold weather, so you have to keep them somewhere warm, preferably in a greenhouse, or even inside. Keep them inside for the summer. I mean, if you live further south, you might be able to get away with them going into a sheltered part of the garden, but they never do well here in my garden, ever. I put them in pots as well, and they never do. So I have to keep them either in the greenhouse or inside, unfortunately. So the basil that I grew last year, which was quite interesting actually, were I got them from Chilton Seeds, and one is called Aroma 2, as in the number 2. That actually did quite well last year, and that's the one that I've got in these cells that I've planted. The other one that I grew is called British Basil, which is meant to be good for our climate. And it was okay, except last year I had a bit of a problem with my greenhouse. I've just got one of those flimsy greenhouses, and the wind got underneath it twice, and everything that was inside it just flew up in the air, and I lost nearly all my basil then. That was a bit of a pain. I've got another one here. So this one is a new one that I'm going to grow. It's from Dobby's, and it's called Gecko Four. That's going to be interesting this year. There's another one called Blue Spice Basil, which I'm looking forward to growing as well. It has a kind of vanilla-y taste to it, which is good. I always grow the Greek basil. Greek basil is what you dry. It's the little pom-pom balls of basil, and that's the best for drying, that basil. I always grow the Genovese Italian basil as well, and then I start going into strange things like, well, not strange really, but I grow holy basil, which is called Tulsi, and I grow that as well. That's very, very temperamental. I also grow Thai basil. I grow the sweet Thai basil, and I also grow Siam Queen, which is a really good Thai basil as well. I always have a lemon one on the go, and I also like the lettuce leaf basil, which is the bigger leaves. That, I mean, usually does well. I'm just going through to see what else I've got here that's interesting. I always have a purple one on the go, so I'll do purple ruffles. I'll do the dark opal. There's one called red Reuben as well, and I have that because we love basil, we love herbs. So yes, so that's the basil. So you need to, again, like I said, you need to put that on heat. Definitely, or somewhere where it's a little bit warm. Yeah. So I'm back in this room again, and I'm going to talk to you about seeds that I haven't sown yet this month, but I definitely will, and they are cucumber seeds. Now, these seeds you definitely need to put on heat, so they will be going in my propagator. I mean, I haven't started them yet because I've got other things in my propagator like chilies and aubergines that I need to get out before I put these in. But these are some of the varieties that I like very much. There's a couple more coming, but they haven't arrived yet. But the one that is really successful here in the UK that works really well is called Market More. That's a great cucumber that works really, really well. Yeah, no problem with that. The other ones that I'm doing this year are, I am going to do one called Muncher, which is a little one. It's like a little mini cucumber. That looks really good. I always have like a pickling or a gherkin type cucumber, and this year I've got this one called Chicago pickling, so that's going to go in as well. I do the Armenian cucumbers. Now, they're a little sensitive, these ones, so I might start these a little bit later, but I will try and get them in. The Armenian cucumbers are great. They're the really thin, long ones. Very, very tasty. And then the other things that I also am going to put in now are cucamelons, which have become really popular over the last few years, and they're these tiny little things that you just pop in your mouth, and I like them very much. And the other thing that I'm going to do this year as well, which I did a few years ago, is the West Indian gherkin cucumber. It works a little bit like cucamelon. So yes, you can get those in now in February if you've got a heated something or other to put them in. Right, I just want to end with 3 more other things that you could put in your propagator or on heat if you want to sow seeds this month. Look, my eye is starting to get a little bit better. I have no idea what I did to it. Anyhow, first one is lemongrass. Now, I mentioned that in my other video, which was the video to do with sowing without heat, and I put that in there by mistake. I didn't mean to, actually. So lemongrass is one. Lemongrass, the seeds are really, really tiny, so you just spread them on I just spread them on a pot that size, pop them in the propagator, and they come up. And so they do really well. The other thing that I'm doing this year is I've just thrown in a couple of strawberry seeds, alpine strawberry seeds, because I've got some alpine strawberries outside and I love them. If you haven't tasted an alpine strawberry, seek them out, because they are something special. And these seeds are called mignonette. So just little red ones. I'm going to try those and see if I get anything coming up. If not, then I will buy the plants. And the last thing is something that I grew last year, and they came up really, really, really well. And so I gave a couple of mine away to people on Instagram, and then mine died, which was a bit of a unfortunate. And that is the Luffa, or Luffa if you want to call it. There are the, whoops, there's the seeds. There's these little black things. And there we have a bit of a challenge on Instagram about loofah growing or luffa growing, and loofahs are the things that you know, scrub your back with. So this year I'm going to try again, and I probably won't give any away to anybody this year. So that is about it for February. You could do some exotic fruit if you want to. I've got a few seeds that I've put in, and if they come up, I'll show you. But if they don't, I won't mention them. So yeah, happy growing, everybody. And also, if you like my videos here on YouTube, it'd be really nice if you gave me the thumbs up and subscribed, and then you can see what I'm doing every single week on my vlogs, and also on my What's in Season I Hear You Ask, of what I cook with the produce that I grow as well. And it's all fun. Bye.